her zeros, her 10s, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s.
No, not
And-
60s, 60s.
And upon close observation, several startling facts will just jump out at you. Okay, and the first and most obvious one is that I was not born with white hair. And kids, take note. Get that out on Twitter, because if it's on Twitter, it's true. Let everybody know. So I wasn't born with white hair. That's important information. Going down the line, Layle's so worried about that. A second observation: if you looked at the picture in the top left, age, I think we're calling that 2.
Yeah, I think I was going on 2.
And then you look and you keep looking. It's like she hasn't changed.
I know. Absolutely.
So she was cute at 0, and at 10, at 20, and at 30, and at 40, and at 50, and still at 60. That's my girl right there. Another observation, which became kind of obvious as Margaret and I were putting all these photos together, I'm in a lot of those pictures.
It's been a hell of a long time.
In fact, I've been in her life for 75% of her life. When you think about it in those terms, that's a long damn time. So, honey, I'm kind of like your 3/4 man. And I'm going to stop the metaphor right there, because that's an hour of stand-up, and it's probably not real pretty at once. So, but that's a long time. No! Thanks for the flyover. And that 75% entitles me to an opinion, and maybe 2.
Charlie, 10% has always entitled you to it.
or at least an observation. And so many of you might know that I teach composition writing, and we focus on visual elements in our classroom. And I ask my students to come up with titles for any visual element they're going to use, captions or titles that somehow grab the essence of what that visual element is. Now, when you look at this photo montage, and that's, well, let me keep going. Hang with me. A middle school approach, no offense, Rosemary, would be to say Julia Gregg, 1959 to 2019. And that would tell us pretty much next to nothing we don't already know, right? So I like to go a little bit deeper. And so when I look at that photo montage combined with my 75% time on Earth with Julia here, I came up with a title, and it has a semicolon in it. And my favorite youngest daughter would be very proud of me, because I'm the only one she knows that texts using semicolons.
Love semicolons.
So it's 2 independent clauses. The first one is, wait a minute, semicolon, somebody needs some loving.
Somebody needs
Some loving.
Some loving.
Or in vernacular, loving. Okay, somebody needs some loving. Because if you look at those photos, from her earliest age to the last one on the bottom right over there, that's Lele, Chris, me, and I in our front yard when they got married a couple of weeks ago. She's given some loving to somebody. And I think if you have any experience with this chica here, you might have been a recipient of that yourself, or maybe one of your children, or one of your parents or grandparents or friends somewhere along the way. It's a kind of a bottomless well of loving. And I will say at times I'd like to have more than my 75%, but I realize the other 25% reminds me of how great she is. And I think a good way to illustrate that is with one of so many stories, but I'll try and stick with one, involving a mother and a dog. Okay, she doesn't know, good, and Joanne doesn't know, that's good. So Julie and I met when she was a minor, 17, and I was a major at 18.
No, we met when I was 15 and you were 16.
Or I was 15, whatever.
However,
We were young.
Extremely irritating.
And
He was.
we were young,
he
and
was.
and so
16.
as happenstance would have it, we started courting young people. That means dating. And the courting involved, well, a little context. So Julie's senior year of high school, she's home alone with her mom because the older siblings are off doing their thing in the world, and this is back in Connecticut. And her dad had started a new job at Dunn Paper Company. Anyone who drives across the Blue Water Bridge from Port Huron to Sarnia, you look down on your left, you'll see a paper mill. And so that's where her dad was working. He had started a new job, but Julie and her mom were going to stay behind because Julie had started school in Westport, Connecticut at the age of 5, and she was damn well going to finish it, her first senior year of high school. So I was a college kid, and I was big stuff, and I would come home, and there was nobody home at my house. So upon occasion, Joanne, I would wander over to your house. We would, I thought, a mom, two chicas and a dog. I mean, these are pretty good odds. I should be able to do something here, right? Make something work. I'm a big kid on college. And so we started dating a little bit, and our dating sometimes involved necking. Young people, that means kissing.
With your neck?
And, I'm sorry, that was after we got married. So we would discuss the Arab oil embargo and the impact of Elvis Presley on modern day culture and stuff like that. On the love couch in her dad's abandoned office in Westport, Connecticut, while Momma there maintained her perch at the top of the stairs.
Julie.
Perfect. It went something like that.
I think it's time to come to bed and for Charlie to go home.
I think
Remember that, Mommy? Julie.
I well remember it. I think the magic hour was maybe midnight on a school night, maybe a little bit later on a non-school night, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Progressive, Graham.
So, what on earth? Yeah, progressive. What on earth does this have to do with? Wait a minute, somebody needs some loving. So here's where the dog comes in. I don't think there's any dogs, but dogs have been a big part of Julie's life, not just me.
Busty's on that picture, and so is.
And so you remember a dog named Cinnamon?
Yes, Cinnamon.
Cinnamon was so named for the color of his fur. Maybe about 40 pounds. It was a mutt, right?
Yeah.
It was just fun dog, happy dog. And so on this love couch, while we were discussing the merits of the Arab oil embargo, this dog would somehow sneak behind one or the other of us, and it had that snout. You know how dogs do? It like knows its way in
Right
between
there.
us, right? And this dog is like, I'm working something here. And it did it a few times, and I don't know how many nights, but I have
Yes, you
this.
trained it, Doug.
Yeah, it was an agent. It's
Mom trained the dog.
Joanne's agent. That became very obvious to me. And so at one point, I don't know what night it was or something, but as clear as I'm standing in front of you, I have this image of my darling then girlfriend abandoning the love couch, jumping down onto the floor with this dog, and smothering it with love. This dog needed some loving, right? And I'm trying to be the better man about the whole thing, and I'm thinking, geez, something's not working here. But upon reflection, later that week or that day or since then, I realized that was the moment, that one of 4 or 5 seminal moments when we were courting, that I knew I was going to marry this woman. Because if she had that much love for a stupid dog that was getting in the way, I had it made. And so that's one of the stories that I think of when I look at that picture and say, wait a minute, somebody needs some loving. I could go on, but I think that kind of summarizes it. So I think it's wonderful that all of you are here reciprocating, taking that minute and giving some of the loving back, because that to me is the story of Chica's life here. So huzzah!
Happy birthday.
Thus ends my speeches and my thank yous and my toasts. Huzzah.
Thank you all for coming. Charlie said to me, "Do you want a birthday party?" Yeah, if you ask. Just something simple in the backyard. Don't have Margaret do any baking or cooking, or just get everything in and just see who can come. Make it simple. Okay. None of you were available the first weekend in August, by the way. When my birthday was August 2nd.
I did a survey.
Yeah, nobody was available.
gosh.
So then he says, oh, forget it. And then, well, we could do it like the 10th. Claire's like, do it the 10th, do it the 10th. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. No, make it the 11th. So anyway, thank you very much, my dear.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
And I took my my motto for my 50s from Mel, because when he turned 50, he stood up and said he was going to make his 50s fabulous with friends, family, fitness, food,
Was it? Oh, faith.
and flying and faith. I think those were all involved.
Fun, maybe?
Fun?
And fun.
Yeah, and fun. Yes, yeah.
Flying means fun.
Yeah, and I remember Claire was wincing at the flying. But anyway, so through my 50s, I kind of went with that very good
So when are you
friend's
gonna
advice.
go for those flying lessons?
So for the 60s,
We've already done the sailing lessons.
no. So for my 60s, Mel has reintroduced me to sailing.
Oh, yes.
So
sailing for
60s is going to be
60s.
involved with sailing.
Yeah.
And my good friend, Dr. Rosen, told me I looked snappy in my new glasses. And I thought that was the perfect
Very
word for
nice.
60s. So I'm going to be snappy and sailing in my 60s.
Oh, that sounds like a great idea.
And sizzling, baby.
And sizzling. And I still will need a lot of hugs.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you all for being here. Thanks for making it so fun.
Very nice.
Okay.
Very nice.
Cheers
So-
to all of you.
Cheers.
Yeah. So
And mostly
yeah.
cheers, I have to say. Now, many women get to celebrate their 60th birthday with their birthing partner. My longest friend, and one of my very, very best friends, my own mommy.
I knew it was going to be a tearjerker.
I love you so much.
That's so nice.
Thanks for being here, Mommy. Thank you for being my soul sister.
Turn around, Neil.
Jim.
Happy birthing day, Grandma.
Yeah. Happy birthday day.
Happy birthday day.
Grandma,
Grandma,
Grandma, look this way.
What do you need?
Joanne, look at
I'm
me.
doing a photo.
I don't want to be full of champagne.
Very nice.
All right. So there's lots more desserts in there.
Yeah, lots more
Oh, yeah.
desserts. and
Go
then
get
we
more
can
sweeties,
move them
And if you
please.
need to go back for more chicken shawarma,
Yeah.
that's allowed too.
That's all in there
The, yeah,
too.
the Grag family's got a month of chicken shawarma eating in front of ourselves, so please,
Which
please chow down.
we don't mind, but we don't mind sharing either. So
Any other speeches? No. Thought you might.
Just on behalf of your kids, thanks for always giving us loving.
Here, here. Here, here. All right.
Yes. I would say something, but I probably would cry. Oh, well, I must say, we've known Julie, how long? The Gregs,
Since they moved here.
was it
From
91?
the day they moved here.
Yeah, we were
November, actually
did you
it was before we moved in.
in a rental on Maryland, and I had maybe 3 kids.
You
or
had 3.
3 kids, and they came and they were trying to find a place to rent. And you looked at the house next door, or 2 down?
2 down.
2 door.
Two down.
I knocked at the house that was next door to the one we were looking to rent. Nobody answered. I'm like, okay, I'll give it
Before
one
we
more
sign,
shot.
before we sign the lease.
Oh, yeah,
I
I had
didn't
to
know we
find
knew you
kids.
before you signed the lease.
Oh,
Before we signed the
Oh,
lease.
yes.
Gosh, she
Claire's responsible for us signing that lease. I knocked on the next door, and she comes to the door with Sam here, and Nikki here, and Priya on her hip. And I was like, yes, I'm home. So, and I was there with Margaret and Christopher and James. So, and then we saw each other a lot then, and then we both moved. They moved two houses down,
Yeah,
Yeah.
2 houses down here.
and we moved to Glenhurst. And then they did multiple moving and multiple home renovations, and we just did multiple home reservations.
You were more sensible than us, yeah.
And we kind of went in and out,
Yeah.
and then come to find out we were both pregnant again. And we had our Lily and our Carolyn, who became pretty good friends.
Yeah, and then James came on a mission with us, and
Yeah.
then...
And there was some soccer with Coach.
Yeah. And then Christopher was in China when Sam was in China, right? For a short while, and then
Sam was
you
there 1 year and-
separated. Yeah.
Yes, Sam got your duvet, didn't he?
We sure? Yeah, you got my room.
You got your room.
Oh.
What was that?
My stocking.
Yeah, we had that little
Oh,
league.
yeah.
You remember
Hey, wait a minute. Sam, he's missing his Christmas stocking.
That was years later.
Oh,
Just check your stuff. You remember
But
that
I
Little
must
League
say,
team? We had that Little League
Julie is one of the most, I don't know, she's always there for you, you know, she's always, I mean, sometimes we don't see each other for a bit, and I'm up north, whatever, but, you know, she's always there. She's somebody that is very, very caring and always thinking about somebody else, so. And she is wonderful taking care of her mom and helping with Jim and Gloria and that. I mean, you're a role model for all of us. I mean, respect you so much for everything that you do. So the Gregs and the Boyles, you know, they're our closest friends. So, yeah. So, anyway,
and
happy
Chris
to-
and Robin have taught us all about Scotch and what's that awful tasting? No, it's not awful tasting. Haggis. And all kinds of good Scottish things, and it's lots of fun. And book group friends here, and BUC friends here, and neighborhood friends here, and anyway, I'm very glad you could all
I gotta
come.
say, when we moved to Glenhurst 25 years ago, and the first day we had moved in, and our house was just, it was a disaster. We were exhausted, but doorbell rang, and here were Charlie and Julia standing at the door with, I think, some sort of pastry.
Claire started that.
It's blueberry.
Yes.
No, it was
That was the pastry that
blueberry.
Claire
No.
brought?
It was only 10 years old.
It was really nice. Thank you, Claire. All these years I've been thanking Julia for it.
It's my mother's recipe for blueberry cake.
It was, and it was just a wonderful moment because we didn't know a soul, we didn't know who we'd know, and here were the Gregs. And from that point on, we always felt there was a friendly, open, welcoming face in the neighborhood. So, thank you both.
Thank you. Cheers. Yeah. Aw.
Little sweet baby girl.
Oh, well, thank you. There's lots of sugar in that house. And shawarma.
Nobody has
So
to
grab it.
leave. You're welcome to stay as long
Yeah,
as you want.
we're hanging out for a while.
Just hang out
Yeah.
and relax.
Mingle.
Mingle.
So sailing,
And
Snappy.
snazzy.
Happy.
Sizzling.
sizzling, shawarma.
Sugar.
Great decade.
Yeah.
Great decade ahead.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
We're already in the 60s.
Yeah.
We'd like to welcome you.
And there's no going back.
It goes
Right?
downhill from here.
You guys can make those now if you want.
I can share with you.
Well done. So thanks for being quiet. Julia?
No,
60s are meant to
I
be.
am totally teasing when I
60s meant to be a good, I mean, good. A good right?
It's a fabulous.
Yes.
When I said goes downhill from here, I just meant body-wise.
Oh, okay.
That's what I meant. Not any other
Susan,
way.
I must tell you that in Chinese culture, when you turn 60, it's considered sort of your rebirth, right? Your
Chapter.
a new
is
chapter.
a
You're
new
starting a
chapter.
whole. Everything's new again. And
Well, let's think of
yeah,
it that way.
that's how I think. But you don't have to get rid of everything you know. Right. So that you can maintain that. So
Perspective.
Lele's mom gave me a little glass figurine pig because I was born in the year of the pig.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And as a celebration of my of my 60s and my renewal.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
That is nice.
That's the way you should look at it. New chapter.
No, that's I